YouTube, what's up? It's Ryan from So Bad It's Good with Ryan Bailey. Hi, how are you? I just got back from Bravocon and I'm officially dead. I might be doing this from purgatory. Who knows? What you just missed on today's pod, the pod from Thursday, you'll probably see the video of me and Kaya from Bravo While Black recapping a little bit of Bravocon. But before that, I play a lot of clips that are really silly from the Bravocon extravaganza. And if you're a member of my Patreon, patreon.com/so bad it's good, I left really insane voice notes all weekend long of behind the scenes stuff because I stayed at the Gansevoort where they were all staying. So every night I was at a party up on the rooftop or in the hotel lobby with them. And it was the weirdest, coolest experience of my life. Like I fully believe I'm in the Matrix now and life's a simulation, but who knows? And if you've been following the podcast, we're going to do a Beverly Hills double header on Friday where I'm going to recap the first reunion and tonight's reunion back to back. And that'll be up on YouTube, hopefully at some point this weekend, but also just check out the podcast, subscribe to it. And if you like it, hit that, smash that like, subscribe, 5 stars, all the crap that we all ask you to do. But I truly appreciate it. I had so many adventures that I can't wait to share with you guys. And I've shared a lot, but I don't even know, man. I'm lucky to be out of there alive. But today is a Southern Charm recap. I already did the first part of the pod, so I'm going to hit record on GarageBand like I usually do, and we're going to get into it. What you're missing right before this was I play the Bapa Do Bapa Dee 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 song. So let's get into it for the last time of the season. Southern Charm, and I know the reunion aired last week. So Ryan, you're like, why do I want to go back a week? I'm telling you guys, we need to talk about it. And I don't do things half-assed, folks. I overdo things to the point where you're like, stop doing things. That's what I do. But I want to wrap up my feelings about this season. So I hope you guys some of you guys are still around for this, but I'm also going to reveal some things about Southern Charm that I saw at the Bravocon that I think, I hate to tease that, but I did. I saw Shep and Taylor. I saw Austin and Olivia. I saw the whole deal. So I'm not talking just the panel. Okay, anyways, let's start into this. I'm just going to hit record and we're going to go. Bapa Do Bapa Dee Dee Dee, folks. Southern Charm reunion part 2. So good that they don't need to do a third one. Thank you, Andy. Thank you. This will be the last time potentially of the season, but we've got Winter House, which I'll be covering as well. Winter House, what a fucking mess. That Craig, Paige needs to keep him away from basically any of his male friends, right? Like it's just, Craig can be one of the most charming people in the world. And then it's like Jekyll and Hyde, but it's like he was literally like just trying to stomp on a table at one point in Winter House. And I'm like, I don't care how hot you are. Like, honestly, this hot guys get away with shit like just stamping on tables, like stomping. He was like on a wooden table in Winter House, just stomping on the table. And I'm like, how do girls are like, ooh, sign me up. Like, what the fuck? I don't stomp on tables. Like, that's the thing to do. I should go to Buca de Beppo and just start fucking stomping on Dorit's room tables. Though, also, you guys follow that James Corden story. If you followed my Instagram, you found out some breaking news today on there. I know this is Southern Charm, but I wanted to say that James Corden has been banned from Dorit's room in Encino at Buca de Beppo. He is no longer allowed there, and he's no longer allowed in the Sur alleyway. I guess he did not share his cigarettes with Kristen Doty, and he is banned now there permanently. So shout out to James Corden. But we're here to talk about our favorite male freaks, those Southern Charmers. I got to tell you, just real quick too, I know I said thank you earlier in the pod. I've been feeling like such shit, but when I turn on the mic, it's like this makes me happy. You guys make me happy. Some of you guys, like, you're like, I fucking hate watch you or hate listen to you, but it makes me happy. Like, I'm excited right now and it's 12:30 at night and I've got energy because of this, because I'm so excited to talk to you guys. And that's what Bravocon was, just to hit that over the head again, is that you could talk. There's so many great people out there in this world, and so many great people love Bravo, and it was just so damn cool. So let's get into the final part of this reunion. And remember, we left off last week where a lot of intense things, like right off the bat, Taylor got Taylor nailed Shep to the wall by was like, you sleeping with all those whores. That's how I say whores. Whores. You sleep with all the whores. Also, so let me just get into some dirt right now this will give a little context maybe, because I think so. Okay, so me and Maritza were in Bravocon at the Gansport. I think it is Thursday during the day, and we had to work the direct TV party that night with like Kathy Hilton and all this stuff. We're enjoying, I believe I enjoyed a chicken sandwich and she enjoyed a cheeseburger, which by the way, Maritza like is texting me. She said she had like 5 cheeseburgers over the weekend. I'm like, when did you eat these cheeseburgers? Like, I think it was probably, now that I'm thinking about it, it's probably when, because I kept partying and she would go back to the hotel. Maybe that was the cheeseburger time. Okay, I answered my own question. By the way, also Maritza works for me, does all the graphics. She's amazing. And Sandra, if you're watching this, you're amazing too. But Sandra didn't get to join us. Just my team for So Bad It's Good. We're like the Bad News Bears, but better than them. So we're sitting outside because it was a lovely day in New York. New York, truly beautiful. And all of a sudden, Taylor and Olivia walked by, and it took everything in my power not to go, Baba doo, Baba dee dee dee. And I mean, Olivia is like, whatever. Like, she's obviously pretty. Did you see that DJ James Kennedy called all the Southern Charm girls ugly? That's just DJ James Kennedy wanting attention. The Southern Charm girls aren't ugly. A lot of them are jerks, but they're not. I'm just like, I'm telling you, I got a little crush on Taylor. I just think what a sweetheart. And I know whores, she was getting like hopped on for saying that word. I was trying to explain it to you guys in the last recap I did about this. It's a poor use of the word, but I know what she was trying to say. And also, like, I was at the Southern Charm panel on Sunday. I left the Potomac panel for it, and I sincerely regret that. And you can tell there's some real awkward tension still with Leva on that stage. Also, Miss Patricia was at the Southern Charm panel, and fucking Miss Patricia needed to be at the reunion. It's like, she is gold, you guys. I got to sit down and have a conversation with Miss Patricia in the hotel lobby late Friday night. And she had me sit down and we talked about the show. And she's like a proud mom. She gushes over Whitney. And I'm laughing, but she's like, Whitney does a lot of things. He doesn't just produce these reality shows. He got a movie. Like, she was so nice and so charming. And I was like, I wonder if like Maritza, we had a room with double beds, but I was like, wouldn't it be great if I made a move on Miss Patricia? Like, I think she wouldn't go for me, but it would be interesting just to bring Miss Patricia back up to the room and Maritza eating a cheeseburger, be like, what? She's like, what are you? I do declare, what are you doing here, Maritza? So I see, sorry, you guys, Olivia and Taylor walk up and we're like, because we're just, by the way, we had seen Shannon Bedore at this time, Cherie Whitfield. They're all just walking in. So imagine like you're at a sitting zoo. And I mean that where I'm sitting and you're just watching your favorite zoo animals walk by. That's exactly what it was. And then other tables were there too, going like, oh shit. Like, I also saw Captain Lee and his wife, who he adores his wife on the show on Below Deck, but you can really see it. And that other dude, Jason from Below Deck Australia, I hate to say, like, a really hot dude. It's not fair. Like, that dude probably can stomp on tables and you guys would love him too. Ridiculous. And also, Aisha is a crazy party animal. You're probably not listening to this, but Aisha and Maria, you made my night on Friday night. You were hysterical. Aisha literally leapt on me like a kangaroo. Like, I was just on my phone. She's like, get off your phone. And she like just hopped on me. Hysterical. Okay. So they walk in, and I'm like, whoa. And then I shit you not, you guys, maybe a minute later, Shep comes from the other side. And it was so close in timing that I was like, there's no way they didn't come together. There's just no way they just randomly came at the same time from opposite sides. And then furthermore, then I saw Taylor and Olivia leave and went to the right to Chester's in the back. And then a minute later, Shep followed out and went in there as well. Also, then was it Saturday night? Saturday night, I was maybe Friday night or Saturday night at the lobby bar. Shep and Taylor were talking intensely. Now, I don't know if they're back together, but I will say, though, at the Bravo party on Friday at the top of the hotel, Shep was like hitting on a lot of girls. I mean, I don't know. You could say Shep was just being friendly. Like I was trying to really think about this rationally because, like, I talk to a lot of girls and I don't consider it flirting because that just, like I don't, but like I don't want to say Shep, but it was like he was having the time of his life and Taylor was nowhere around. So I don't know. They might be together still, but I don't know. I can't tell you for sure, but I can tell you I really have a lot of respect for Taylor. At that panel, though, Taylor apologized to Shep in front of the audience for saying that whore line. And I'm like, girl, you don't owe him apologies for shit. I like Shep, and you don't have to owe him an apology. Shep, I like Southern Charm because I think it makes us really face the reality of men. And I'm talking about myself as well, is that we are idiots and we're conflicted and we're highly emotional, more emotional than women. And that's why it cracks me up that women get blamed for being too emotional. And I'm like, have you seen us guys? We just internalize until we're stomping on tables in Winter House. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I like that we get to really highlight the dynamics of how we treat women. Is we love them with all our hearts, but also we can't seem to settle down and we can't seem to pick one and we can't seem to, these are true faults because you see this and you're like, Shep, this is somebody that truly loves you for all of your faults, for your warts and all. And he's like, I still can't do it, man. I gotta get out there and live. And I just wonder for people like that, I don't think I'm like that, but I just wonder if there's ever regret down the line, if he'll ever regret that because she's really gorgeous. She's really nice. She has like values, not to say that Shep doesn't. It just seems like they have different values and it bums me out. Also Austin, I DM'd Austin. I think I told this on the Patreon, but I DM'd Austin to say, hey, let's meet up. I think it would be funny for the audience, to get a few words because I had made that petition to get him off of Summer House, just like it was a change.org to stop him terrorizing the women of Summer House. And I thought he had a good sense of humor about it. But then when I DM'd him, like, let's hang out, he goes, do you know Justin Anderson? And Justin Anderson is like that famous hairdresser that's friends with Kristen Cavallari. And I was like, oh yeah, I know him from your videos. But then also, you guys, I also know him because I think I upset him at one point early in my meme career, which is the saddest sentence you're ever going to hear from a man, an old man like myself. I made a meme where I compared Justin to the Cowardly Lion. Like there was just something because his hair and his face, like, dude, he's a 30 billion times more attractive man than I will ever be. But he just reminded me of the Cowardly Lion. And I made that meme. And I guess he didn't like that, which is, of course, why would you like that? By the way, I look like Screech from Saved by the Bell. Like literally put up an image of Screech. If you're listening to this, you'll see I fucking got called Screech half of my life. So I get, I get pain, but I think Austin was hanging out with Justin at the time. So I guess it's no go for me making up with Austin. Whatever. Let's do this recap with that in mind. So we always start with these previously on the Southern Charm reunion. And we had the like, why do you want to see Craig's dick to Austin? Now, I will say this is another thing. And maybe it's just, I don't think we had this on Vanderpump Rules. We had more ass play on Vanderpump Rules. Remember when the Bubba tattoo and the Ariana tattoo on the Tom's ass? But on Southern Charm, it is all about dick. And I got to tell you, I don't think Austin's gay at all, but I think he really does want to see every crevice of Craig's body. I mean, a lot of you guys do, like really true, but it's weird. Like we even commented on these reunions, but there is just a lot of dick talk. And I told you guys last time, I was like, am I missing something? Is it bad that no guy wants to really see my dick? So sorry, Mom, if you're watching this. So we're showing clips from last week and like the great meatballs from Catherine. And then Olivia going, where'd you pull that out of your fake ass, Madison? I met Madison at the DirecTV party and I went, Madison. And I talked to Madison for a second and I got a picture with her. And I said, you were the only one that looked like you were having a great time at the reunion. And she said, I was. She was really nice. And Now we see the clip of Madison going, well, this is 3 years long, our relationship. You're just 5 seconds in, to Olivia. And Olivia going, well, do you want him? And then Catherine having that fight with Leva of like, let me voice how I feel. And then Madison saying, fuck you, Leva, and fuck you, Vanita. And then Andy saying, Shep, were you tomcatting around Texas? Which, by the way, now that is one of my new favorite things to say, tomcatting. Hey guys, were you tomcatting around any areas lately? I gotta find more people to say that to. Tomcatting, what a great word, Andy. Where did you? I mean, where does Andy come up with this stuff? So, then, oh yeah, and then we have that unfortunate thing from Olivia. No, sorry, Olivia. I'm blanking on names, right? And Taylor, where Taylor says, you wrapped me all in with that slew of whores. I was just the whore that lasted the longest. And Shep going, sorry you feel that way. Tonight, the Southern Charm reunion continues. Bop-a-doo, bop-a-dee-ee. And we start off backstage. Taylor is talking to Catherine and saying, Shep hasn't worked a day in his life. He is not going to work for a relationship. She's saying this to Catherine. And then Taylor goes, to quote Kim Kardashian, you got to get your ass up and work. Nobody wants to fucking work these days. And I was like, girl, I like you, but let's not push it with like looking up to Kim Kardashian too much, you know? And then Andy, we see him awkwardly cornering Shep in a doorway. And he's like, hey, Shep, I feel bad, man. I feel bad out there. And they hug and Andy grabs a little ass. No, they hug. And Andy goes, well, this is the first reunion I actually feel bad for you. And Shep's like, thank you. You know, Shep's like, thank you. And he goes, I feel bad for myself. And I'm like, this is one of my things is that I've always told, like, I've benefited from this, so I hate to keep pointing it out. Men get forgiven way easier than women. And people feel bad for men way more than people feel bad for women. And so it's like, Shep fucked up, you guys. Shep fucked up multiple times in this relationship. Now, I feel bad this is on national TV, but this is a real person that he was in a 2.5-year relationship with. She deserves to be able to say what she wants without like, oh, boo-hoo, Shep. Like, you know, Shep's a big boy. He put himself in these situations. Then we cut to Leva's dressing room and Lamar, her husband, oh my God, Snuffleupagus. I didn't think he existed. He's there. And she's like, oh my God, I'm so squeezed in the corner. And Catherine has so much spray tan on and making fun of that, her spray tan. By the way, I was so hoping they were going to bring her little son out to do a cooking demonstration. Like I always say, that's what they did the entire season. If you saw a scene with Leva, she was teaching that kid how to cook. I thought it would have been great if they did like a little kid's Top Chef challenge at the end. And then we see Craig, Austin, and Vanita in the hallway, and they're chugging a Bud Light. And they're like, to the shrimp boat, because remember when they were shrimp boat and chugged. And so that's cute. And I got to tell you, man, I like that they were somebody at least is fucking nice to Vanita. We got to talk about something. I talked about this with Kaya. What was it? I talked about this somewhere. I'm just so tired. Yeah, it was Kaya today. You heard it earlier. If you listen to the podcast, I'm so tired of people picking the weakest one or the person that seems the weakest. It's like you have all these strong females. You have Naomi, you have Leva, and you have Madison. And guess who isn't outwardly strong? Vanita. She seems like a good person, right? Might not be the most fun to watch because she's a good person, but kind of seems like a good person and kind of does small things where you're like, yeah, she's probably not going to like say, I just don't get why. I mean, I get why they all pick up on her because strong people pick on the weak. And that's it. And I hope Vanita gets another season just so she can become stronger, if that makes sense. Catherine also says in a shot, Leva's full of shit. Stand up for the underdog because we always rise to the occasion. And this is like literally before they take their seats. So part 2. And he's like, we're back with part 2 of the Southern Charm reunion. Between her curated closet and collection of Barbies, influencer Vanita ought to be the envy of women everywhere. But while she knows her way around fashion, the same can't be said for how she navigates her friendships. And he's like, hello, Vanita. Love your Barbies, Andy says, because she has a Barbie collection, remember? And he goes, she's like, did you see I was channeling Barbie today? And Andy's like, okay, but Vanita, we haven't heard much about your love life. And that is true. We haven't. Nobody, nobody did Austin didn't do a one night stand with Vanita. I mean, Craig didn't do it. Come on, somebody do it. Whitney, what the fuck? And Vanita's like, yeah, I don't like talking about my love life because the last real relationship that I was in was very mentally abusive. And I was giving more of myself than I had to him. And Craig's like, yeah, you gave some money to him too, didn't you? And she's like, I did. I gave him a lot of money. I was paying his bills. I was paying his phone bill, his light bill, if he needed gas. Like, I just do all these things and I wasn't even myself. And Madison's like, did you know this guy? They're like, no. Andy goes, Madison, did you know this guy? And Madison's like, I did, but I did not know she was paying for all that. I would have been like, are you crazy? And then Andy's like, did he have a job? And Vanita's like, well, he did. He was a school teacher. And then I was like, well, school teacher, there are unsung heroes. Maybe, it's like, well, I mean, school teachers don't get paid tons. So I don't know. And then Andy goes, how did you wind up getting out of that relationship? And Vanita goes, so I found out that he was actually cheating on me via Instagram DM that a girl sent to me. And he goes, she's very old. She was 16. And Craig bursts out laughing. He goes, sorry, I just didn't expect. I always do Craig like that because he sometimes has a jaw that just is a lazy jaw. And it doesn't sound like him right now, but he'll just sometimes a lazy jaw. So he laughed because fucking 16 years old. So fuck this teacher. I love teachers, but F that teacher. Are you kidding me? And then Andy goes, Vanita, we got a lot of love from your mom on Twitter. I did. I love that scene with Vanita's mom this season. Do you guys remember that? I loved it. I wish there was more of her mom. I love when moms come on and they humanize their kids. It's great. We had a flashback of her mom. And remember, that was when Vanita was trying to get her to talk about her dad and they're not together anymore. And the mom was like, I didn't want you to see my pain. I just want to protect you from the pitfalls for us. It's another example of women, and Kris Kardashian did this as well. She's said this many times that she would hide her pain from her kids because she wanted them to keep going. My mom does that too, you guys. My mom right now, she hides her pain so well, doesn't want to bother me with it, doesn't want to bother. And, she has it. And it's just really hard because, strong women, I don't know. I don't know the answer. It's such a amazing thing that our mothers do for us sometimes, but sometimes it's okay to be human. And sometimes it actually also teaches us a lesson that we are all human and that I don't love, you don't love your mom any less because they don't let you, if they let you in on their pain a little bit. Sorry. So Vanita was like, yeah, that was the first time that I actually had my mom talk about that we actually talked about that. Imagine that, you guys. Vanita's a grown woman, and this is the first time that she's actually talked to her mom about that situation with her dad. I mean, that's wild. She says before that, she would give me nothing. She said she would do whatever it takes to make things look like, here's this glass house and, I don't need to share it with her. And she starts tearing up a little bit. And it was a really beautiful moment. Andy says, Catherine, at the garden party, Vanita questioned if you were raising your kids to be racially sensitive. Twitter weighed in. I love when they do the Twitter names. It's like Charlie's 6969 says, Catherine, being offended by the question is something else. Racism is learned and taught. It was a valid question because Catherine was so offended by that question. But they're saying it is a valid question because Catherine did send those monkey emojis and stuff. Now, listen, the point is with this whole exchange, though, was that it was an intense place to bring it up. And we get a flashback of that scene. And the thing is, Leva even hops in and goes, listen, I felt bad for Catherine in that moment. Not Vanita. I felt bad for Catherine because sometimes Vanita just doesn't know how to approach things and does it at the wrong times. And I'm like, guys, we're either making a show or we're not. Like, why is Vanita sometimes getting stuck with these things that some of you guys need to step up and do? I just don't understand it sometimes. And I hope Bravo While Black said that she's going to be talking to Vanita. I can't wait to hear that interview. But it was Vanita said, I asked her if she raised her kids to be racist based off what she had done in her life. And Catherine was like, I was just a little taken back about that. And then Andy goes, Leva, you inspired the conversation a little bit too. Leva says, yeah, felt bad for Catherine. It was severe. Also, sorry, you guys, I'm trying to read these notes. I transcribe these notes with this transcription app I always tell you about. I wasn't able to get anybody to take notes on this one for me this week. So I just had to do it. And the transcription notes I tried to correct. So I've watched this episode like 3 times, but like for Vanita, the transcription app will say Bo and then Nida, which is Vanita. So I'm like, what is like, I'm like, how dyslexic am I? This is wild. So they were talking about Vanita kind of getting ganged up on this year. This morning, Craig, to be able to get to his feelings across the same way that so we also flash back to that scene, you guys, where Vanita also kind of stood up for Craig a couple times, like that moment near the water a couple episodes ago, and saying like, well, I think we should just acknowledge how Craig feels this morning. Craig feels right now. And Naomi's like, fuck you, Vanita. And, she just like, I feel like Craig should be able to get his feelings across the same way Naomi is capable of getting hers across. Andy asked, do you regret being harsh to her, Naomi? And Naomi's like, I mean, yeah, of course. Like, but my feelings were hurt. And Andy's like, okay, so you just reacted. Did you resolve anything? And she said, yeah, we're fine. We're fine. And Andy's like, okay, great. I mean, it seems like your friendships, Vanita, didn't survive the season in a way. I mean, you have Madison, Naomi, Leva. They were your buddies. What happened? And Vanita's like, well, this one is mad at me because she thinks I threw her under the bus, which is Madison. And she goes, and I did my best to apologize. I did a long apologize. And Madison's like, I just didn't feel like it was sincere. And Vanita's like, it was. I mean, I took my time. Madison's like, you did a text message. And Vanita's like, but you could have come and I called you and you hung up on me. And it was just wild. It's just sad. I don't get it. These are the points where I'm like, either these girls are really stubborn and they haven't learned a lesson, or Vanita's really good at hiding on TV and she's a horrible person and I just don't see it at all. Like we're all flawed people. Like let's set that record straight. You're not going to meet one perfect person except for Batman. Like I love Batman. Batman's the coolest dude ever. He has his issues, but like basically he's out to try to help people. I think we can all agree, Batman, great guy. So I just feel bad for Vanita. Andy says, so why not accept her apology, Madison? And Madison's like, because the thing is, I felt like it was out of left field. I never in a million years, I wouldn't expect this from anyone sitting on this couch, but this person here, obviously one horrible thing happened. And literally she talked shit about me. We're talking about that moment at the birthday party when Leva, when Vanita told Madison that Leva talked shit at the birthday party. And Vanita's like, how did I do that? And Madison's like, oh my God, are you even watching the same show, girl? And they said, so what made you decide to invite Catherine to this birthday party? And Madison's like, God, you're sitting there like, this is what Madison does. She causes these problems and you put the phone out of your hand, which is a bold fucking lie, like acting ridiculous. That's not what I did at all. So Madison just harping on this phone thing with Vanita once again. And Leva's like, you told me she snatched the phone out of her hands. You told us also that Madison was totally shit about me and Olivia. So they're saying that Vanita said shit. I mean, it's just a very confusing thing. And it once again leads me to also think about like how many of our fights in real life are ridiculous. Like when you hear them on a reunion and you're like, I'm even trying to make sense of them. I'm like, wait a sec. But when you're in the reality of them, it's like life or death, you know? Like how many times are we like that in our lives where some one thing will be said and you're like, it's on for life, bro. It is on for life, man. We are never making up. Um, so I just felt bad. I just walked away feeling bad from this for Vanita. Andy's like, okay, well, I guess we're not going to resolve this. I wonder if Andy ever feels bad when he's like, well, just stirred that up a little more and we're never going to see forgiveness there. Um, he asked Vanita, I'm curious, what's your biggest regret from the season? And Vanita goes, not being more of myself. And that's my biggest regret. And Craig's like, yeah, that's the biggest lesson you'll learn. And then you'll just, you'll let it all up and you'll let it go. And Catherine's like, yeah, just like the more you want, you're just, you gotta be yourself. And it's the better. I love reality stars when they've done it for 8 seasons where it does seem to be this rule book of like, yeah, you just gotta be yourself. And I learned that the hard way now myself. And now I just act like an asshole on camera and it's all cool. Like it does. It's more entertaining when they are themselves. So it's good advice, but it's got to be really hard to do in practice. Think about all the things in my life. Like there's certain parts of our friend group, right? They don't care about being the asshole. I have this one friend. I haven't seen him in a long time, but he loved being the asshole. He would say anything. He loved stirring shit up, just loved it. But like me, I wouldn't like, if there was a camera on me, I'd be like, they'd get me to start talking about somebody. I'd be like, um, I'd like muffle the mic or I'd start like, let's go. I'm going to go take a shit so the mic can't follow me. Then I'll talk to you, but I'm not going to do that on camera. Like, and you guys, you're like, we're supposed to like, thank you for your service in a way that's true, but also they now make a good living out of this. So I guess it's, the ends justifies the means in a way. Like these pillows would never exist if Craig wasn't himself, if that makes sense. So Vanita's like, thank you for that. And then we hear the birds and the bees and the 1, 2, 3s. Woo-hoo. And Craig's like, can we break for like a vodka Red Bull or something? Can we break? And Madison and Andy take a photo. And Madison's like, this is the first time we ever took a picture, Andy. And he's like, are you kidding me? And then Madison's like, you're a dilf. You're a dad I'd like to fuck. And he's like, well, I am a D. Welcome back. As they say, everyone loves to come back. Almost everyone. What happened in Vegas to what happened with Whitney. One thing was sure, when one thing was sure, when she came back, she kept us coming back for more. Of course, Naomi. Naomi, what was more terrifying, moving back to Charleston with your tail between your legs or coming back on the show and facing the cast that you turned your back on? Damn, that didn't read that hard when I watched it, but now that I'm reading it back, I'm like, hey, Naomi, what's the worst, being a piece of shit in Charleston or being a piece of shit on a show in Charleston? And Naomi's like, well, I wouldn't say that I turned my back on everybody. And Catherine's like, when she left us, she dissed the whole series, like our whole franchise. She now only said negative things about us. She said negative things about what the show was about and what we now, she did it about the whole show. And Nan was like, I mean, that's not sure. Like, I think that was more personal to you. Like, she was like, I just said bad things about you, Catherine. We did a Catherine flashback about all of the times that actually has happened. And Catherine says, yeah, to me, the last year really hurt my feelings. So last time Naomi and I spoke, was me reaching out after her father passed away. And then all of a sudden, Instagram's telling me I should be ashamed of setting the rumor about Cameron that her husband was having an affair. And we get that flashback of her telling Craig that, like, was that 2 seasons ago, which kind of drove Cameron off the show. And she's saying that Naomi was up in her DM saying, how dare you, after Catherine had supported her after her dad's death. And Andy asked Craig, what was your reaction when you heard Naomi wanting to return? And Craig's like, well, she ended up calling me because I thought she's like, this will always be your thing, Craig, which is kind of a subtle dig. Like, hey, it's me, your ex-girlfriend. I know reality shows will always be your thing because you might not have other things. Like, it kind of read like that. And she's like, Craig, did you have a problem with me coming back? And he's like, I was all for it. I was all for you coming back. And Naomi goes, I mean, I spoke with everybody that mattered to me. They do a reaction shot of Leva. I don't think she talked to Leva because Leva rolled her eyes. And she goes, yeah, we just had conversations, but also Catherine was not one of those people as well, Naomi says. And then Annie goes, we got a lot of feedback when the two of you hooked up in Vegas. So we get a flashback of Shep, Austin, and Craig, that first episode of the season where Craig's like, yeah, I guess we did kind of hook up. And Austin was pissed because it was like, we're supposed to be friends, dude. And you didn't even tell me where you put your dick in her, dude. Well, like, how am I even your friend? And he's like, so walk us through that night in Vegas. You're there for the bachelor party. You pull your dick out. Now, what if Andy was like, you pull your dick out? Okay. What are you talking about? What are we dealing with? Is there freckles? Okay. So you pull that out and you stroke it a little bit, right? Like, I just want Andy to get really, really dirty. He's like, you're there for a bachelor party. And Naomi, you were there with a group of friends and you connected late. Was it like a booty call situation? And they're both like, kinda. And then he goes, so was the morning after, like, was there a walk of shame? Did you guys have breakfast? And they're like, no, yeah, we went out. It was fine. And we went to Leva for breakfast. We met Leva for breakfast. And Leva goes, these little two shisty people, they thought they were pulling a fast one, which this is exactly what I was telling you that Craig did, that Austin and Naomi, Austin, these fucking names, man. Austin, Olivia, and Taylor did the same thing at the Gansfort at Bravocon. Like they thought they were being sly coming from different directions a minute later, but that's what Leva says. Leva was like, Naomi arrives and Craig like comes from the same hotel a minute later. And it's like, they really thought they were like, got one over on me, but it was fine. And Andy says, yeah. And you and Paige at that point, were you dating, but not anything? And Craig's like, no, we were seeing each other, but we were long distance. I think she lived in New York and I lived in Charleston. And she still, she was still, we were seeing people and all that stuff, and, and Andy's like, oh yeah. Cause that was the time she was with Andrea. Right. And Greg's like, yeah, this is like 2 months prior to us being exclusive. Remember how obsessed Craig was with the word exclusive during Summer House? He's like, oh, we're not exclusive yet, so I can hook it up with Kristen Cavallari because we're not exclusive. I've never used the word exclusive, so I never use, you can't, that doesn't hold up in court. I never said exclusive. You got me on camera. I never said he's like, he keeps, and Paige, by the way, for being a really strong female, I think, like, I really do think Paige is pretty strong female and funny. Am I saying all these compliments with Paige? Paige was like, okay, yeah, you're right. I think you're right. Like, but there's only so long a girl will go along with that thing, like, I feel like Paige probably was close to getting like, wait a sec. We get a flashback where, Paige was like to Craig, she's like, I talked to Naomi a lot. And like, I mean, it's obviously not the most comfortable thing. Like over the summer, you guys slept together, but like, I'm not in high school, except sometimes Paige does act like she's in high school. Like that's kind of her thing with the podcast. Anyways, Andy says, did it bother you that she and Andrea said that Paige said Andrea had a beautiful penis? And Craig goes, I would be disappointed if he didn't have a beautiful penis. And this is when Madison's like, why do y'all want to talk about dicks so much? And then Madison's like, want to see my tits? And I was like, I actually have seen Madison's tits because remember during the pandemic when she would get hammered and she would go on IG Live, there was one time in particular that she was with her friend just hammered and she was like stripping on, I think, I'm like, I think I have it screen recorded. I don't mean that in a pervy way because I literally had other Bravo Instagram telling me like, go on Madison's Live right now. She's stripping. So it wasn't like I got it from the dark web or so, like the pandemic was a crazy time. Anyways, she looks great. Then we get one of the most shocking revelations of the season was Naomi and Whitney hooking up. And who made the first move, Andy says. And Austin's like, yeah, like when was the first hangout? Because like they said they were gonna get dinner together after Olivia's party. And Shep was like, well, I mean, Whitney said that you made the first move, Naomi, a little bit. Whitney said you grabbed his hand and said, let's get out of here and go to another bar. And Naomi's like, yeah, probably. And Shep's like, I thought it was a lovely gesture. I thought it was a lovely gesture. And I love when Shep gets romantic. I thought it was really romantic. And Andy's like, were you hiding your feelings for Whitney the entire time? And I was like, I've not ever hid my feelings for Whitney. It's like, have you hidden being fucking hot and bothered by Whitney this entire time? And then was like, no. But she's like, yeah, I mean, it was, she goes, there's a little bit more than what you saw on the show because Whitney had lost his dad over the summer and he called me and we started talking more frequently. So it was a very slow kind of build. And that is true, you guys, in our lives, is that you will rely on, there are times when we rely on people like just out of the blue and they become like, for that time period, somebody that we rely on. And like it can sometimes just be for like a couple months and they just really help you out. Like I've had a handful of those over my life, going through my divorce or my penis enlargement surgery. No, I mean, but it is true. Like there are those people that you're like, wow, how did you become a really good friend all of a sudden? It's just like I like sometimes friendships have seasons. Sometimes we have those seasons with friends that are there for us in that moment. And it's not like anything dissipates or like, oh, there's a fight, but sometimes it's just for that moment. But thank God, right? It's a beautiful thing about life. So we get a flashback to Whitney telling Naomi, it's like, you're a very loyal friend. You're a great shoulder to cry on. And Naomi's like, is that all I am? And then when he goes, naked shoulder. So that's what I'm saying. Like Whitney is just, Miss Patricia is so classy and just, at the Southern Charm panel, guys, she was the funniest one there out of all those guys. That's why it's such a shame she doesn't go to these reunions. But then Whitney is like half charming and half like, oh, Miss Patricia, if you're listening, I just hope you know it, I still want you on the show. I did ask Miss Patricia to come on the show. So Naomi says it was never more than just a really good friendship that kind of turned for a second and then went right back, and we're not dating anymore. And Craig says, I think he really likes you. And he asks, how many times did you have to sneak out of Miss Patricia's house before breakfast? And Naomi's like, well, I actually would like to hope to see her in the mornings, but she would get up so late. But there were several mornings that I wanted, there were several mornings I was there. And Andy says, guys, who fell out of your chair when they found out about Naomi and Whitney? And Shep, everybody's like, yeah, I did. And Shep was like, well, Whitney told me in private. I kept it a secret because, I kept it in secret, which is like bro code, bro. I kept it in secret because he's like so easily frightened about his personal business there. But like, I was like, I would kind of lean into this one, man. Like, she's gorgeous. That cracked me up because it is that one of those things of like I'm very secretive. Like I tell you guys everything, but also I keep things secret. There are things I keep personal that I swear to God, I don't say everything, which is wild because like I am really nervous about screwing things up with something or, there'll be things that I hold back on from telling you guys on the show because I get nervous and I don't want to screw anything up. But I like that this was like, she's really hot, man. You shouldn't hide this one. Like you should like show this one off because she's gorgeous, Shep says. And Catherine's like, the only thing that hurt my feelings with this whole thing was like everything in the past when Whitney and I like did our thing. Remind you guys, Catherine and Whitney hooked up. And remember, they showed that episode because he was always like, he said to Catherine, he's like, never during filming ever say anything about us. And like he would get mad when she did. And we get a flashback to that scene when Catherine's like, I went to coffee with Craig and Austin and I came out that we hooked up. And when he's like, we have a different interpretation of events, I guess. Come on, man. Miss Patricia said that Whitney didn't have any access control to the edit, even though he's a producer. So that's why these embarrassing moments did get left in the show. Also, another reason why Whitney hates being on the show. So it is funny, those things that scare us, they scare us for a reason. And then when you actually do them, it shows you why you're scared of them because it really does make you look like a dork. So Catherine says, the fact that he was totally cool on camera with Naomi, but like not me. It's like, why again? Am I just not good enough? I want to point that out as a very interesting psychological thing that we got to take into account when we think about Catherine, is that she is treated as that, like, this person that was passed around with these guys. Remember, Shep hooked up with her as well. And it's like enough times these things are done to women that they're like, what is wrong with me? And when it's bullshit, when it's like, it's actually what's wrong with the men, you guys. It's not you. I mean, just you are participating. So you do have some kind of blame in it, because it's like you're not going to change somebody like Shep or Whitney, you know? And then Craig's like, well, it could have been the Thomas of it all, because, he probably felt true, like to Thomas at the time, which that's another thing, is that Whitney and Thomas were really good friends. So in a way, really fucking shitty of Whitney to begin with. So Andy says, Craig, what surprised you the most about Naomi and Whitney's relationship? And Craig's like, I thought it was great. I was like, and Andy's like, you didn't seem to think it was great. And Andy's like, I don't know what it, he goes, Andy, I don't know what it looked like, but like, I guess it looked like I was furious. And Andy's like, yeah, it looked like you were furious. And he's like, she made out with me. They made out. I went straight from the horse's mouth. And Craig's like, what am I not going to say? Like, it wasn't absolutely shocking to find out that, Naomi and Whitney paired up. I mean, I haven't been, I was like, it was weird in the moment, and we flash back to that scene where Craig does find out, and Whitney's like, we don't need to explain ourselves in any capacity. And Craig's like, fuck you, Whitney, fuck you. And Andy's like, you said he was breaking bro code. And Craig's like, I think it is. It's like breaking bro code. You just don't hook up with people's exes because you don't do that. It's like bros, you're like men, and you don't do that. Which, by the way, we just had the example that fucking Whitney did break bro code, and hooked up with Catherine at some point. So that is completely ridiculous. This bro code thing, we got to stop saying bro code and woman code and all this shit, because it doesn't exist. Why do we keep acting like it's a thing? It's just not. It's not a thing at all. Let's just stop. Let's just stop. And this is the point then when Andy was like, well, maybe you guys are still in love with her. All right, we're gonna leave it there and get right back after the break. I love when Andy goes, oh, hey, we're gonna leave, we're gonna put a pin in it, take it back to break. Then we come back and they're all sitting down and they're like, Craig just ripped his pants down there. He does not even wearing underwear. And then Craig's like, I'm wearing underwear. I'm wearing underwear. I wear it on reunions. And he's like, I wonder why you don't wear underwear. He's like, because I remember in high school I was wearing like normal boxers and they would just ride up and they're uncomfortable. Which, that just means that I would leave the biggest shit stains on my underwear. And it was hard for my mom to get the shit stains out. And so I stopped wearing underwear, and it ruined a lot of jeans. But jeans are more durable than underwear, if you catch my drift. And Andy's like, have you tried briefs? He's like, yeah, but like, it's like, then he goes, and Craig is like, it's kind of freeing to not wear underwear. And he's like, yeah, that's why they call it free balling. And Craig goes, it's whatever. It freaks Austin out. He hates it. Which, by the way, why the fuck does Austin have an opinion of like, well, but it's like, if I have one of my friends that don't wear underwear, I'll give him one joke maybe, but then I'm not going to be like harping on, you wearing undies today, bro? Like, what's up? What's going on down there? What are you packing? What are you packing that month? What are you packing? Hey, what are you packing that monster hog in? You got something to strap that thing in, bro? Like, what? And Andy goes, the amount of opinions you have, Austin, about what's happening in Craig's pants. It's like, okay, changing topics. How's everything going with the pillow empire, Craig? He's like, going really well. You have a brick and mortar in Charleston and more stores to come. What's happening? He's like, we've got a big deal with Kroger. So we're going to be in all their stores across the country. And my first thought was like, doesn't Kroger sell groceries? Like, are you in the meat? Is your pillows in the meat section? But then I know what they mean. It's like, they have those little pillow sections and stuff. So that's actually fucking huge. So congrats. That's really cool. And then they bring up the old chestnut of Shep being jealous of Craig, and Andy asks Austin, is Shep jealous of Craig's success? Oh, I hate when my um and Austin's like, oh no, Shep just likes to give Craig shit. It's his favorite pastime. And Shep's like, you dude, we're literally like a package deal. Like, just like you and Austin are a package deal, we're a package deal. We started this journey together. And they do a shot of Craig, and you can tell like sometimes Craig, it's just that thing. I think Craig in some ways has outgrown Shep. Like, I will say that. Like, I saw Austin a lot this weekend. In fact, I had to hide from Austin a couple times at the lobby bar when I wanted to go have a drink at the lobby bar, but I had to go drink at Chester's because the lobby bar was so small that I just didn't want to be around them, you know? But then Shep was like everywhere, but like Craig, I didn't see at all. I did not see Craig. I saw the Southern Germ panel, but I didn't see him walking around ever. He wasn't partying, so I figured he was just with Paige. So good. I mean, good for that. But you can tell Craig is still that person that kind of holds a little grudge, I think, against Shep. It's just like, yeah, dude, like, yeah, we started this journey together, but okay, man. Okay. And he says, maybe you feel like because he actually has a thing going on, it's taking away from you, you know, playing around Charleston, no? And Craig goes, Shep is very supportive in his own way now. But, you know, we have that time when we went months without speaking to each other. And to this day, though, if, you know, he says the wrong thing, especially if it's with Whitney, it'll trigger me. Craig has so many triggers, you guys. Like, it's like, welcome to the gun show with Craig. It's like trigger happy. We get a flashback to that trip where Whitney and Shep were kind of like going, dude, you have a chip on your shoulder. You always have had a chip on your shoulder. Don't play a victim, Whitney and Shep were saying to Craig. And Craig says they're doing anything they can to justify their behavior or whatever. And he says, a cavalcade of times I've seen you absolutely black out, Craig. I'm not sure I've seen you more black out, though, on your trip to St. Simon's. We get a flashback where Craig was like, I just took like 4 shots. I want to go fireball. And then he was going up to the bar. He's like, we're doing shots. Just random ladies. Let's do shots. And Andy goes, do you even remember wrestling Austin to the ground? And they all laugh. And that's what I was saying. Like, I don't have dude friends like that too, where we get drunk enough where we're like, let's wrestle. Let's get old wrestle in. And Madison's like, you beat Austin's ass. And she's like, seems happy about that. And then Naomi's like, Craig, you tried to pay the Uber with leaves after that night, which is just like, does that mean Craig was carrying around leaves in his pocket, or like he got out of the Uber and he like just went like thought things that was currency? Like, amazing. And by the way, this is what kills me. We saw them wrestle Austin to the ground, Craig, but let's see Craig try to pay the Uber driver with leaves. I would pay extra for that footage. And Craig's like, maybe when I stopped taking Adderall, you know, in those environments, I replaced it with Jaeger. And Andy's like, Jaeger, you couldn't replace it with Chardonnay? You know? And Craig goes, so the problem, like, it highlighted a drinking issue? Like, you mean like over the last 8 seasons? He's like, no, I'm trying to cut liquor completely out of my life. But he was just talking on the panel the other day how he chugged some beer at Bravocon that a fan gave him. Andy goes, did your alcohol consumption, sorry, it's not you guys. I'm not Andy to Dorit yawning. It's me. Andy says, did your alcohol consumption have anything to do with you being stuck on an island with Naomi? And Craig's like, I think so. You know, I was like, you know, that's what led to that. Andy goes, you called Naomi your psycho ex-girlfriend. And we get a flashback to that scene. Andy says, it seems like the narrative you were trying to spread was that she wasn't over you and she was obsessed with you. And Craig's like, yeah, I can be a jealous person. And Paige, if she was in the same situation and she walked into another room with her ex, I would die inside because my head, they'd be doing like inappropriate things. And I just didn't want to put her in that position. And I didn't know how to handle it. I handled it wrong. Naomi in a flashback says, they had that fight with Craig earlier in the season when Naomi's like, when I was in your position, and Craig's like, you're never in my position. You left a loving relationship to be with a controlling asshole who cheated. Honestly, you don't affect my life anymore. And he says, a lot of viewers are speculating that what do a lot of you, sorry, you guys, a lot of viewers are speculating. What do you think they're speculating about? And Craig's like, about a lot of things. And he says, you're still in love with Naomi, Craig. And they say, Craig, it's obvious you still love her. Why are you so nasty and mean to her? you can respect Paige's you can respect Paige's wishes and still be respectful to Naomi at the same time. And Craig's like, Naomi can still push my buttons, I guess. And I'm sorry, I'm doing my best. And he's like, Paige ultimately convinced you to invite Naomi to your winter party. And we cut that flashback to Paige going, I think you're like not inviting her. It's like a bit harsh and it makes you look petty and you're not. And he says, why make the effort to invite her and then treat her like an afterthought when she arrived? Craig's like, if I did, I didn't mean to. I mean, there's a lot of people at my Christmas party. I got to take a little bone to pick. Was there a lot of people in your party? Like, literally, there were like 25 people. Like, no offense. Unless they kept all the people in another room at another table, who knows? So Leva's like, you like, you're a child. You're like, you were acting like a petulant child when the whole table situation happened. And he goes, why didn't you have a seating chart? Craig's like, because you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. I like that was seating charts. Like, I always thought that was seating charts. You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. I will say, my best friend Dusty, who I grew up with, he got married to his husband Jason, who I love, and they had this gala, and the dinner part of it, they placed people, like, they didn't let you sit with your, like, families or, love. They wanted everybody to sit and talk to new people. And it was actually turned out to be a really cool idea, but they planned that out from the start. They actually took time and thought about that. So Craig, you're not damned if you don't. Think about it a little bit. Think about who's going to be there, man. Like, everybody tried to warn you that night, but you're not just damned if you do, damned if you don't. He's like, selecting who's sitting next to each other. Why? It's like, so Andy's like, well, trying to make everyone guess, don't you see it didn't work? And Craig's like, Leva made the party about herself, and I'm still kind of confused as why, you came in and had a chip on your shoulder. And Leva's like, I have not supported you, like, I have supported you. You always, but I still don't know why you did that. And Leva, oh no, Craig goes, I still don't know why you did that. And Leva's like, I was very stressed out for multiple reasons. I have a child. I basically run an empire with my husband. By the way, it's always smart never to say empire on a reality show, because you're still on a reality show. So you can't really say empire, because it then just kind of makes you look like a jerk. She goes, and it's not a joke. I'm doing Southern hospitality. I like when he can see she goes, I have to see my therapist almost every other day. I'm like, damn, that is expensive. And I was like, whoa, Craig, you went to 0 to 100. I wasn't even trying to come for you. Like, people are rolling their eyes they're doing crowd shot reactions, and people are rolling their eyes at Leva. And he goes, do you were that mad about not having a place to sit? And it was like, half of the people were sitting at the time. And Craig's like, there's no space for you guys. Are there, it seemed like it heightened the whole thing. And Craig, then it gets brought into the fact that also Leva was talking to Craig's business partners. And that was the whole thing, was that you're going to badmouth me at my own party to my business partners and put my business partners in a very weird situation. And Leva's like, I didn't, like, what are you talking about? I never said that. I wasn't doing that. And Craig's like, run the tape, man, run the tape. Which, by the way, you guys, this is my thought on Housewives from here on out. Guys, I'm okay. They show flashbacks anyways. Let's make them watch the flashbacks. Like, roll the tape. Yes, roll the tape, but roll the tape in front of the fucking cast so we can see Leva that she actually did say exactly what Craig said. She said, I also have business on the same street as these people that actually run your business, Craig, and not you, you clown. She did say that. Why didn't they run the tape and get Leva's reaction of watching her say that? I don't understand shit like this when it comes to reality shows, because you would get a much stronger reaction in that moment. And I think you would get so much more out of that. There are so many times in Housewives history, one being the Monique Candace fight from Potomac with the hair pull and the wand. Like, we could have shown that clip by clip and all be on the same page. So, like, well, he like, Leva's like, he reacted to that. And Craig's like, I was like having like, to kick her out. Like, my business partner is awkward spot. And he started to talk to me, and I hear that. And I'm like, I don't want you to be here. Just leave it if it's not your thing. Okay. And Catherine says, well, it just seemed like they were trying to have something to complain about. And Andy's like, can you own that you were also aggressive towards Craig, Leva? And Leva's like, yeah, my reaction is I get poked. And Craig's like, but the seating thing wasn't like, I wasn't poking you. Like, you can understand, like, I wasn't poking you. And it's like my party. And like, she's like, yeah, but you turned and screamed at me. And, and he's like, okay, can you both own that you're both terrible? And he's like, Craig, I want to move on. I wish we would have been better at this, but it is what it is. And Andy goes, well, Merry Christmas. And they all laugh. And we get to the next segment. Well, Leva is the mom of the group. And Catherine hears that. And she's like, whatever. Andy says, but Leva when she's not running businesses, she's advising her friends and helping tend their wounds. Catherine says, I can't. And Leva goes, I can hear you, right? And Catherine goes, I don't give a fuck. And then Andy's like, but this isn't, some wondered if she crossed the line from mothering to meddling. Sherelle from San Antonio said, damn, Leva looks good. No way that's all natural. Did you get a mommy makeover? And Leva's like, yeah, I mean, I got my boobs reduced. Boo. I just don't like boob reduction. Listen, I'll probably have to get a boob reduction one day myself. I just saw Kyle from Beverly Hills got a boob reduction. I don't know. I don't know. Anyways, she goes, but I didn't get a tummy tuck. I did get my scar revised. I'm assuming from her child. Are you and Lamar still talking about having another child? Annie asks. And she's like, yeah, we just actually talked about it this weekend. And then Annie goes, congratulations on your new show. It's called Southern Hospitality. People are very excited to see this. Tell us about the show. And she's like, it's going to be great. I think it's just a different angle than what we have here. Obviously, like, I'm the boss there. So the dynamic is, and we see a clip of it. And it's kind of funny. This lady, Lev, is like talking to the staff, and a lady's phone beeps. She's like, I got to take my my birth control. And she's like, honey, can you get my birth control? And it was a funny little clip. It doesn't seem like the other people are super happy for Leva with this show, but it is a Bravo show. And this is why Leva's been there all season, so they could launch this show. So I hope it's something. I saw an extended preview of this during the Southern Charm panel. And I got to tell you, it did look really fun. I really liked it. So I'm not the biggest fan of Leva from this season, but it looked like the other characters in it were pretty cool. So I'm excited for that. So Andy goes, Akina from Denver says Leva might get away with being a mama bear at home and at work, but where does she get off telling her friends what to do? Leva, do you think you're bossy? And she goes, yeah, I mean, I like advised to my demise, which is a catchy little, I advised to my demise. And I'm bossy. And we get a flashback to her telling Austin what to do in regards to going for Olivia. By the way, Olivia says jack shit this entire reunion, except for like one line. Austin's like, yeah, she can't help from inserting herself. Austin goes like, I mean, I never heard that phrase, like, please advise to demise. It's like, it's true. It's like so true. Leva's like, I'm very much a control freak. I'm very bossy in my 40s. I'm bossy with my sisters. They avoid me when I'm like, did you do this? Did you do that? You got to dump him. Did you do, so she's just that bossy person. And he says, Madison, who's bossier, you or Leva? And Madison's like, she can put her nose in her own business and leave me the F out of it. I'm like, okay, Madison, is there any situation that you've inserted yourself in that you've looked back on and thought, oh, I shouldn't have done that? And Leva's like, oh yeah, the birthday. And we get a flashback to the birthday, Madison and Vanita's, where Leva's like, in the spiritual realness, in the sense of realness, there's all these big feelings that are being swept under the rug. Maybe we can address it. Let's fix it. And Andy says, Vanita, how would things have gone differently at the garden party if Leva hadn't encouraged everyone to go around the table and air their grievances? And Vanita says, in some senses, I'm almost thankful that we were able to break the ice because of what she said. So this is what keeps people like Leva butting into other people's business. And he says, after watching the season, can you understand why viewers feel like you may have crossed the line? And Leva's like, yeah, I mean, I know this about myself. My husband knows this about me. He's just like, stay out of it. I'm like, fine. And he's like, be like, especially when it's somebody that's not even that close. And it's like, this person does not understand. For example, Madison, I was genuinely just trying to be like, hey, I know you're, I know the thing with Austin, just like, let it go. It looks toxic. So, that went not good. And so, yeah, I know I do that. And Austin's like, we talked about, Austin's like, we talked about Craig's winter party. Andy says, we talked about Craig's winter party already, but after the party, there seemed to be a split between the group, with Leva, who unfollowed a bunch of cast members afterwards, who got unfollowed. And it looked like everyone got unfollowed by Leva except for Perfect Miss Taylor. Taylor, because Taylor, you can't fault. And Leva was like, I was expecting Austin to stick up for me with Craig at that party because the way he spoke to me, it hurt my feelings. But then the girls just kind of, I unfollowed them because they were snarky and they were laughing at me. When we get a flashback to Madison going like, fuck yeah, I love it. So Andy says this year, little Craig's dad finding himself in the doghouse from a pregnancy panic to fidelity fears. Taylor and Shep's relationship was hanging by a thread. Richard blah, blah, blah says, Andy, why does Shep refuse to use birth control when he's allergic to a committed monogamous relationship and he finds the idea of having children horrifying? And Shep's like, not horrifying, terrifying. And Andy's like, do you want children? And Shep goes, I think one day, maybe one day. And this is, and Taylor's like, Shep, what? No, you don't. You're 43 years old. And Andy goes, I was 50, which was like, oh shit. And Taylor goes, why do you want a family? Talk to me. Tell me. You said you do not see yourself in a committed relationship. And Shep says, we were talking about marriage and we talked about raising kids together. And Taylor goes, and you failed. And Shep goes, damn right. Like, that just sounds damn right. Yeah, I failed. Yeah. Hell yeah, I failed. All right. And Taylor's like, why do you accept failure, Shep? Own up to it and work on it. Work on yourself. Like, she's basically begging him, like, you have it in you, work on, And he says, Gene from Bend, Oregon says, Taylor, do you think last year Shep was being honest with you when he said his only indiscretion was a kiss in a stairwell and an accidental text? And we have a flashback of that last reunion. And Taylor says, yeah, I do believe that. I'm like, do you? What the fuck? And then Andy goes, Craig, what did it mean when you said that there are fires everywhere in regards to Shep's love life? And we get a flashback to one of my favorite scenes where Craig's telling Austin, like, everybody's freaking out about Shep, but like what Taylor doesn't know is that there are landmines and there's gasoline in a cellar. And like, if it gets blown up, there's a campfire, it's going to explode. It's going to kill her. And so Craig goes, no, I didn't mean, I just meant like, in the past, it's like Craig's trying to like get around it. Taylor's like, dude, he went then and bought somebody a drink at the bar right after you said that, who happens to be one of my sorority girlfriends. Why did you buy her a drink? And Jeff's like, I what, did I grab her butt? I was with my friends. We were never going to do anything. I was getting a drink at the bar, like, oh. Andy says, Austin, you were there. And Austin's like, yeah, Taylor, like, she called me and was like, Austin, shoot straight with me. Like, man, I was like, I just watched this episode. Is Shep cheating? And it's like, I was like, I have no idea what Craig was talking about in that scene. And from what I remember, like, I don't remember, like, and Craig's like, I man, like, you guys, Shep and Taylor, you had a lot going on. Like, when you called him, you left, by the way, like, what? Like, he's just like fumbling. He's like, Shep was trying to be good. And like, you guys were like making everything seem okay, but it really wasn't. It was falling apart. And Andy's like, Taylor, what did your parents think about Shep after watching the season? And Taylor's like, they love him. That made me so sad. And Andy says, so they don't mind when he told you were an idiot. We get a flashback to that egg toss. You fucking idiot. And Andy goes, that didn't move the needle in any direction. And Andy looks at Shep and goes, dude, it was an egg toss. And Shep goes, I'm fully aware. And don't you ever fucking drop that egg, you fucking idiot. No. He goes, I'm fully aware of how trivial that sounds. And yeah. And Andy goes, Marcy said, like, Andy goes, Marcy says that you speak that way to your mom. Is that true? Which, by the way, I just realized did we even, I've blanked. Did we see Marcy? We did. Did we see Marcy in the Marcy wasn't in the reunion at all, right? Like, it's just wild. Chubbs wasn't in there. Marcy, or if Marcy wasn't it, I'm already forgetting about it. And I did a recap of it. So I don't think she was there. And Shep's like, yeah, I speak like that to everybody. And Taylor's like, yeah, I mean, he speaks like that to his parents. And it's like really sad. And he's like, is this what you've witnessed with his family, Taylor? And Taylor's like, yeah, he'll degrade his parents more than anything. And he'll wake up the next morning and his parents will be like, it's okay, we love you. And Shep's like, what are you talking about? Taylor's like, the way you speak to your parents, to your father, to your mother who raised you, who gave you everything, who literally sends you a paycheck in your mailbox, which I was like, oh shit, Shep gets money from his mom every month. And he's like, when? And she goes, every month, Shep. That's how you speak. You don't speak to them like respectfully. You literally say, fuck you. And you yell at them. And then you go to sleep and you wake up and you're sweet Rippin' Fran who cannot hurt a fly. What the fuck does Rippin' Fran mean, you guys? Is that like a Southern saying? And Taylor's like, oh, okay. And he's like, well, what did, when you watched that thing with the egg toss, what did you think? And Taylor goes, he didn't watch. And Chip's like, I couldn't watch it. And he's like, he couldn't watch it. Taylor's like, he didn't want to see himself behave badly. And he's like, oh, I don't want to. And then Taylor's like, dude, you need to watch your shit back so that you can correct it. I'm sorry, but like, you have nobody holding you accountable. Nobody does. And Andy's like, does anyone hold you accountable? And Taylor's like, nobody. Name one person, Shep. And Shep's like, I'm not playing this game with you, Taylor. And Taylor's like, yeah, because you can't name anybody. And Andy's like, would you say that Craig and Austin kind of can, hold you accountable? And Shep's like, yeah, I mean, yeah. And Taylor's like, no, none of you guys hold him accountable. And Craig's like, I just leave. I just leave. And Taylor's like, that's not holding him accountable. And Austin's like, well, no, I will be like, shut up, man. Like, it's not funny. Like, don't do that. Like, they're all just tripping over their words here because she does make these great points, guys. He does not held accountable. He's celebrated for this shit. But Austin's like, yeah, like he's not going to listen to me. Like, and Madison says, Shep leads the pack and you guys follow him. And Craig goes, I don't follow anyone. Yeah, that old Craig up real quick. And Taylor's like, you're in the best position. And oh no, Shep goes, well, fine. You're in the best position in the world then, Taylor, because you don't have to deal with me anymore. That's always like a guy's comeback. Well, great. You don't have to deal with me anymore. And Taylor's like, what is it? What are you doing? And Shep's like, I set you free. I set you free. And Taylor's like, I know your potential because I've seen you at your rawest moments. So what the F are you doing with your life? I'm asking you that, Shep. And he's like, I mean, I'm trying to figure out my life still. And Taylor's like, in other women's pants, the only person I see your true heart. And you looked at me as just another number. And Shep's like, that's ridiculous. And Taylor's like, don't deny that. And Craig's like, come on, man. It's not true. That's ridiculous. And Taylor's like, you did that. You fucked that person in Texas, Shep. You fucked multiple women in Texas. And it's like, God damn, it's been 2 months. It's been 2 months. And then, he allegedly slept with over, Andy goes, he allegedly slept with over 300 women. Why does it matter? And she's like, I mean, why are you using women? Like, God, why did you use me like that? And Andy's like, well, he was single. That's how but he, and Taylor's like, stop using me like that. Stop using people like that. And Andy's like, no, Shep goes, no, I didn't feel like you used me. And she's like, yeah, I was the whore that stuck around. And Austin's like, do you really believe that? And all the girls are like tearing up. And Andy's like, all the girls are crying. Why, Leva? Why are you crying? And Leva's like, I just feel for both of them because I genuinely feel for Taylor. I know she loves him, but I do think Shep loves Taylor. I do think Shep loves Taylor too. Shep does love Taylor, but Shep wants it all. Shep wants to love Taylor when it's convenient to love Taylor. And he truly does love Taylor, but he also wants to have sex with a bunch of other women. And he wants new experiences and he wants to be a beat poet. And he wants all of these things. And Taylor's like, no, he doesn't. He just clearly wants to chase pussy. And so sorry, like Taylor says, because like, what are you talking about? When you hooked up with that person in Texas, what were you looking for? She asks Shep. And Shep says, nothing special. And she's like, oh yeah, you just wanted the nut off, which is always funny to hear Taylor say masturbate and nut off. Cause it's like, those are like kind of guy words. Not like Taylor, stop saying nut off. And she's like, oh, you wanted another number. And he's like, I don't keep score. And she's like, do you remember her name, by the way? And Shep's like, I'm not getting into that. It was Frank. No, she's like, I'm not getting into that. And Taylor's like, exactly. And Andy goes, well, I didn't let, I mean, with all due, you were broken up, he was away. And Taylor goes, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. He just wants women to spread their legs for him so that he can masturbate, like literally. And he's like, why are you keep saying the masturbating thing? And he's like, he uses women to masturbate. And Andy goes, why do you care if it's over, Taylor? And he's like, because I love him. I still love him. And Andy goes, you still love him? Shep, do you still love Taylor? He goes, I'll always love Taylor. Are you in love with her now? And Shep goes, not right now. No. And then on break, Shep's like, I can't believe she went after my mom and dad. That's crossing a line. I can't believe she went after those motherfuckers. And I can't, that's crossing a line. But I got to tell you, it is crossing a line in a way. But Taylor, like the way she says it, it hurts because it's true. And Olivia, this is her one line of the whole reunion. Olivia's like, her feelings were hurt, Shep. And then he's like, come after me, not my mom and dad. He didn't say bad things about mom and dad. He said, you talk to him like shit. Why don't you stop coming for your mom and dad? So, and he's like, we're back, Shep. So deep into the relationship, were you feeling doubts? And Shep's like, yeah. And Madison's like, yeah, I mean, like, come on, an atheist and a Bible beater. I mean, it's not going to work. I'm sorry. And Shep's like, opposites definitely were a factor. And there's no doubt about that. And Andy says, why? You convinced her to quit her job to travel with you. And he's like, because I thought I wanted to show her the world. We get a flashback of that scene where he told her to quit her job, take 30,000 of his money, and they're going to go live high on the hog. So Andy goes, what happened on the trip that accelerated your breakup? And Shep says, we were about a quarter of the way in and we were living high on the hog, so to speak. It was a lot of fun. We were in Venice and we went to like a Michelin star restaurant. And she started crying in bed after dinner. And I was like pretty shocked. And she said, I don't think we see the world in the same way. And she's like, I don't think maybe we're supposed to be together. And I was pretty gobsmacked. And Taylor says, Shep, I wouldn't ever regret, the time we've had. But when I've traveled overseas, I've spent like 2 weeks living on a dirt floor in a tent out in a third world country, not eating Michelin star dinners. So it was a culture shock to me. So I think what she means is that she would probably go on religious trips where they would go like build wells and stuff. And it is got to be shocking when you do live a certain way and you know how many other people don't live that same way. And when you really truly care about the world and the people, and I'm not saying that you guys don't, I'm not saying that I don't, but when you are raised probably the way Taylor is raised, it does got to be shocking when all of a sudden somebody's dropping probably $3,000 on a Michelin star meal when you know that could help so many other people. I love Michelin star meals. I want more of them. Please take me to Michelin star meals, you guys. But I get you guys get what you're saying. Andy goes, did you pay for the whole trip? And Taylor's like, yeah, he paid for everything, but I don't want that. I don't want him to pay for my way. And Andy says, well, it would be a lot of people's fantasy for that to happen for them, by the way. Yeah, me, Miss Agajay. You can pay my way, then we'll get dick. I want sex with Shep. I want Michelin. Shep's like, I mean, by the way, it's like, it's a testament to her. Like, I know some people that would be like down in the bar, like ordering Dom Perignon and saying like, screw it. It was just like kind of good to hear her say that too. And normally in my life, like leading up to when I met Taylor, I would look for the exit when I saw things like that. And like, we didn't see eye to eye and like maybe some major life differences. And I would just run. And I found myself saying like, I don't care. And Taylor's like, well, you finally found the exit. And he says, so there's a rumor, I guess, that when you guys returned, Shep, you were caught trying to kiss one of Leva's employees at a nightclub in Charleston. And Austin's like, sorry, Shep's like, Craig can speak to that. I don't remember. I went downtown. I was at an event. I was golfing all day. I was drunk. And Andy's like, Craig, can you speak to that? And Craig, Austin continues. He's like, well, Craig saw me and he realized, and they called Taylor, and Taylor dragged me out of the bar. And I don't know about any of that stuff until a week later. This girl DM'd Taylor, and Shep like told him that I was hitting on her pretty hard. And Craig's like, yeah, like when I saw Shep that night, the lights were out. Like, and Madison's like, in his eyes or in the bar? And Craig goes, no, like he wasn't there. And I don't think he knew what he's doing. But when he tried to kiss the girl, I grabbed him and I sat him down forcefully and I said, sit the fuck down. Now, listen, folks, you might say this is bullshit. This could be like we've seen Schwartz do this on Vanderpump Rules. But the thing is, like, I remember when I told you that story about a month and a half ago when it was like Saturday and I hadn't drank in a while and I went out at that Mexican restaurant like at 5 p.m., had a bunch of spicy margaritas. I fucking blacked out and I wound up on a lawn in Hancock Park. Don't know how I got there. Don't know. I mean, the only thing I do know is I probably didn't make out with anybody because I'm just not like that. Like I was making out with the grass, I guess. But like you do get to a place where you just fucking black out. And it had been a long time for me. And it was really embarrassing. Like I didn't even black out at Bravocon. Like, come on, give me a little credit. I just lost shit at Bravocon. So Andy goes, was that the straw that broke the camel's back for you, Taylor? And Taylor's like, yeah. And Andy goes, Shep, any misconceptions you want to clear up or anything else you want to say to Taylor? And Shep's like, yeah. I hope that one day in not too distant future, she can appreciate the time we've had together the way I do. And Andy Taylor says, anything you regret holding back this season? And Taylor says, I love you immensely, Shep. And Shep's like, I love you too. And Taylor says, I hope you find stability and peace. And Shep's like, I appreciate that. Same to you. Kind of sad. But at the same time, I think Shep has more moved on than Taylor. I think Taylor's heart really got broke here. Maybe they're still together, but it's going to get broke again, probably, if so. But in a way, I think Shep is relieved in some ways because he does love her, but does know that he's also probably not the guy that she needs. And Andy says to Leva, oh, I see you made that cry, made you cry. And Craig says, like, most of us, most of us love love. Most of us love love up here. And it's always like, we've had a few of these situations. It's like never the same, but it's always really sad. And he goes, okay, all right. So I want to give each of you the opportunity to clear the air. Catherine, who do you want to leave here today in a better place with? And Catherine goes, everyone, right? Especially Leva. And Leva's like, thanks. Olivia and Madison, can bygones be bygones? And Olivia's like, I'm good. And Madison's like, I'm good too. And then Andy goes, I don't believe you. Austin, would you like to finally congratulate Madison on her engagement? And Austin's like, Madison, congrats on your engagement for you and your husband. I wish you and your husband the best. And Madison goes, I believe that. I believe that. Vanita, and friendships here today, are you going to keep working on them? Which ones? And she goes, Leva and Madison. And I was like, oh shit, not Naomi. Vanita says, I really try hard to fix it outside and hope that we can come together and be a unit again. And he goes, that's great. Craig, anyone you want to squash a beef with? And Craig goes, I know I've got a lot of work to do to get there, but I don't like walking by Leva's Bar Republic and not feeling comfortable enough to pop in and have a drink. And Leva says, you can always pop in and have a drink, Craig, but if you want to pop in and have a drink with me, you better sit down with me and we talk. And then Craig asks her to have a hug, and they wrap up the season, you guys. And that is the finale of Southern Charm. Who knows if I think the show will be back. I'm going to put the full Southern Charm panel up on my Patreon tomorrow, I believe, so you guys can hear clips from it. But it was, trying to see. Let me maybe see if I can play you a clip right now. I know. Hey, shit, we're not 3 hours yet. Well, why not? Let's just keep this party rolling. Long form, you guys. That's what we do. Where is that panel? Okay, this is about Olivia and Austin.
You're going to change, the absolute world to me. So watching that reunion, kind of seeing how she was hurt by it, really, really hurt me inside. Made a big either effort to change that. And so kind of wonderful weekend. And more details. I want some details on you now.
Oh.
Bravocon is a place for lovers.
Can we just acknowledge that Austin is the king of deflection? Like, not only did he not answer the question, he didn't turn it around on Shep this morning.
Yes, I'm still trying to election.
Okay, that was a clip from Bravocon where obviously they all hooked up with each other. So you guys, we're back. The podcast is back. I'll see you on Friday. Hopefully I don't have COVID and we'll do back-to-back Beverly Hills recaps. Oh, I'm so thankful there's only one last Beverly Hills recap next week. I hope you have the best Thursday ever. If you listen to this whole thing, my God, you get a trophy. Please leave a good review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You can do it on both. And subscribe to this YouTube channel, you guys. I love you. Goodbye. And to my YouTube friends, it's just me and you right now. I'm saying goodbye to you. I'm like the doofus Mr. Rogers. Bye.